everybody. Welcome to this week's episodes of The Composition of Imagination. As always, I am your author and host, Stevie Jo, and with me are my two fabulous book guardians, Tasha and Jason. And if you've been following us these last few weeks, all March actually, we have been talking about the Angel of Death publication celebration. It is the 2-year anniversary of publishing my debut novel, which also is my debut series. So I'm very excited, and I've just kind of let the book guardians take the reins and ask me questions about different topics. So be sure you go back to previous videos from this month and watch, because they ask really good questions and I give some what I hope are really good answers. So this week we're gonna just shake things up and turn it into sort of a ask me whatever you want about, writing the Angel of Death series. If there's characters you want to know about,
like Cordelia, meters.
So I don't have it exactly plotted out, but they basically met kind of by happenstance. Noel was, the way that I have it going is, Noel was in seminary school, of course, because he knew he wanted to be a pastor. He had actually been sort of counseling his parents in their relationship his whole life. So he thought, I'm really good at this, and I really love Jesus and all that, so let me go and do this in the church. I think that would be rewarding. And he's really good at it. And so he was in seminary school, which there is so he went to Asbury Seminary College, which is actually a place. You can look it up. It's here in Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, I believe. And Cordelia went to UK and got her bachelor's, master's, doctorate. She probably actually has a couple doctorates because that's the kind of person she is. And because her whole life, she's wanted to cure creatures. They've been just an absolute, like you said in last week's video, she comes from old crusty money and creatures are the lower end of the totem pole, and just we don't associate with them. So her goal is, let me just fix them then, make it so I can't associate with them.
Yeah, but I don't think I honestly think she really doesn't want to see a cure. She didn't want to see a real cure until Peyton came along.
Correct. She just wanted to try to get creatures off the map.
Yeah.
And so it happened. That's why I said it's kind of a relationship of happenstance, because it's so...
Or was it?
It's so... Well, yeah, fate may have played a larger role in this. It just so happened that Noel, after graduation, was up in Lexington, and she was out as well. And they met up, happened to meet, and Noel really liked how she looked, obviously, because you eat with your eyes first.
Yeah.
And yeah. And he thought, oh my God, this woman is beautiful. And it was
probably the only day she ever had her hair down.
So the way that she looked at him is basically, yes, she found him very attractive, but she learned very shortly after meeting him who his father was, and was like, oh, you're Mayor Jericho's son, huh? So that really...
Gold digging!
Not necessarily gold digging, more like power hungry. And
same difference.
She ended up, she dated him, and much to her surprise, because to her, when she learned where he came from, and his family roots and everything, to her, it was logical.
It was a strategical transaction.
It was a strategical union on her part at first. But then she claims that she fell in love with him, and that's why she agreed to marry him. So he moved her to Merlance, and James, being ever the supporter of Noel, because he really is. He considers Noel to be his only son. And so,
that's sad.
Oh, for sure. But because Rhaegal's a creature,
I don't accept that.
And
came from your loins, ding dong.
And so he, seeing that Noel wants to marry this intelligent, I would dare say brilliant.
I would almost wonder if something wasn't going on between...
To set that up?
Well, that and the fact that as closely aligned as Cordelia is, I could so see that really there was something going on between them because it was so logical.
Yeah. And so she ended up, when he met her, when James met Cordelia, he was like, oh, well, you're super brilliant. I hear you've got the same motives I do in terms of creatures. So how can I help you, my future daughter-in-law? And of course, he helped fund the Danes Genetic Research Center, which was her first lab. It took a long time to get off the ground. I mean, they had already, by the time the Danes Genetic Research Center came along, Noel and Cordelia were married. They had Peyton, they had Skylar, they had a life. The kids were growing up and getting grown. And then the Genetic Research Center finally was built. So that's kind of their, union. It has always been about love on Noel's side because he loves her in spite of everything she's put him through.
In your writing, do you actually, obviously where you're up through, what,
Book 7.
Book 7?
Excuse me.
You get busy. We got cons coming up. You got your regular daytime job and everything. And you get away from it for, a hot minute. Granted, I know you get that anxiety because you got to keep going. Once you get away from it for a little bit, say vacation, whatever it may be, and you come back to it, do you have to kind of sit there and reset your mind to okay, this is where I'm at, and then being away from it, does it actually help your mind spark a little bit to go, you know what? I thought this was a great spot right here, but now looking at it, I think I need to put it here. Sort of like that editing you were talking about the other day.
So sometimes, because what he's referring to is I had devised a character arc for Lilith, our Elias's confidant and friend that we meet in Veiled Commandments. I had given her this path in my head, and I was like, here is what she's going to do and how she's going to get there and where she ends. And I kind of, as I started editing through books 5 and 6, I was like, ooh, no, she can't do that. It would be way more cool if she did this. So I changed her arc completely. She is no longer the same character that she was when we first started. So that, to your point, it does help sometimes to back away, but it's not like I ever really do because the characters still live up here and are screaming at me going, you need to tell my story. And I'm like, shut the fuck up, I will. I need to go to sleep at 3 a.m. It's
the meme?
Yeah, the struggle is real. It is very hard to get the voices in my head to quiet.
The reason I say that and ask the question is I know you're taking trips and stuff like that.
My iPad always comes with me though.
Oh, okay.
And that's where if I'm in the what I call if I'm in the editing phase, then I bring just my iPad. But if I'm still in the working on the book and writing the story phase, I have a dedicated composition book and my iPad, and they come with me, as well as I have a special pen for each book that I use.
Oh, nice.
So I have these little quirky things that I do not go on trips without them. Honestly, that's been not Angel of Death per se, but writing in general and characters that I want to plot out. It's been that way since I can remember. I have no idea what it's like to have a quiet mind.
When you actually finish a book, do you feel a sense of relief, or do you feel okay, now it's on to the next one? Are you still hard charging, and then when you get to the last book,
then what are you gonna do?
Yeah, are you gonna sit there? Are you gonna have that sense of a relief, or are you just gonna collapse into a pile for 10 minutes and then jump back up? Novella time! So,
I'll tell you, when I finished, I have a trilogy that I did before Angel of Death, and the characters have nothing to do with each other. It was my very first trilogy that I had written. It's called Waves of Passion. I do plan on publishing it once all 22 books are released for Angel of Death. And I will tell you, when I finished the last book in that trilogy, I closed the laptop and I cried. Because I put so much into these books that when I'm done, I feel like I've lost a part of myself.
I had a feeling that's what you were going to say.
If there's no character, if there's nothing left to do with it, I feel like a part of myself is not that I feel like if I say lost, that's a bad term. I feel it's more like I've taken that piece of me and put it in the paper and I can't ever put it back again. You know, so I'm longing to have that back. That
You're trying
newness.
to make yourself whole again.
Yeah, I'm trying to get
Chasing the
that.
dragon.
Yeah, that newness of the adventure and excitement of the story. So with this being as hefty as it is, by the time we get to 22 and that's published and done, it'll actually be done well before it's published. So I will probably go into hiding for a good 2-3 weeks because I will not want to see anybody, talk to anybody. It will probably be really sad for me because I'm kind of mourning this part of me that's gone.
But at the same time, though, you shouldn't look at it like that because, as you've already stated, you've already got these little spin-offs.
Yes.
And stuff. So really, if anything, once you get to 22 and it is done basically in the can,
yeah,
you ought to feel a sense of relief and feel proud because you know, even if you don't do another, let's say, main universe story with these characters, it will still live on through the novellas and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. And I do always feel a sense of especially whenever I finally finish editing book 7 and start on book 8, I'll be able to look at 7 and go, okay, that was awesome. That felt good. Now let's move on. There's always that little relief transition period, and there's always the want and need and drive to keep going. And I do. It's just that I know once I lay these characters to rest, I'm going to be really sad because it's just I've put so much of myself into this. Not that I've based anybody off of it. That's not what that means. It's that just all authors, I think, put a little bit of themselves in their writing because you can't not. Yeah. It comes from you.
Yeah.
You know, so it would almost be like having a kid and not knowing where they came from. Cordelia.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm like, you're really going there, huh?
Yeah, but that is kind of how I feel about these books. These characters are like my friends, my relations, they're all of these things to me that are little pieces of me. And sometimes I really do step back and look at what I've written and go, I did that? And that's the beautiful thing about this kind of craft is it is permanent. If you publish it, it is permanent, and it's even writing it down in your notebook. 30 people that would love to be in your shoes right now because they have ideas, and I've tried to sit there and talk to them. Yeah, and they can't take that step because and it's not the money aspect of trying to get the book published. Yeah, it's just they don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. But because they're like, oh, it's hard. Well, yes, it is hard. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, I think that's a good place to stop for this video. We can actually pick back up with that kind of idea in tomorrow's video. So be sure you subscribe, like and subscribe and comment and do all those fun things for the Composition of Imagination. Tomorrow we're going to do more of these fun miscellaneous type question videos. So please join us again, and we look forward to seeing you.
Catch up on the Angel of Death series today. The first 4 entries are now available directly at StevieJoAuthor.com.